We're sorry to disappoint you, Slab.
Shit.
We're sorry.
Put it in the wrong place. Okay. Hi.
But you know what?
Hi,
You could nap. You can nap if you want to. You could leave your nap behind. Wait.
You can leave your nap on. I don't think that's it either.
That's not it either.
No.
Hello, live peoples, and hello, peoples
Hi,
who
everyone.
watch our videos later. Thank you guys for consuming this content in whatever form you consume it in. I prefer a smoothie mix. You take the content, you put it in a blender, you add some bananas. You know, usually like ice chips are good. Some people add milk. Some people add like what?
What are we talking about?
Consuming content.
I'm here on behalf of the chat to ask what the fuck.
I was just thinking about how I like to consume my content.
Oh. I like to blend it. So you listen to everything all at once?
Yeah, you blend it all together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super complicated. But if you have a blender, then you just do it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Good morning. Good morning. I know.
Good morning, everyone.
I was just being.
Good evening, everyone.
That's it. Smoothies. That's right.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a heartwarming story from my life?
Nope. Yes. Yes, you may. Because I have one as well. But you go first.
No.
And that's why I don't like cricket.
Go on. Tell your heartwarming story first. I'll forget mine, and then you'll be like the most hated. I'll write it down. Go on, Ian.
Look. I have a new toy.
That's not a toy.
It's not a toy. You're correct. It is a piece of memorabilia. And listen. Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
Oh, did you want me to pay attention to your story after cutting off mine? I'm sorry. I was over here, just
I mean, I gave you the option. I gave you the option. You could have done yours.
I'm writing it down so that I don't forget. It's a long story too, so it's gonna take me. Carry on.
This is it. My story's done. I have a new comm badge, and it does the chirp. And I got it. No, this is not the Bluetooth one. This was from the Star Trek shop. They had like a sale. So this one was like £15, which is like $20. And it's so good. The chirp is so good. It's such a good chirp. And it doesn't take like a lot of pressing. And it's like the button is pretty like seamless in there. It's high recommend. It's very good. I love it.
I have a new sound too. I can add all these little sounds together.
Press more buttons.
Oh, okay. All of them?
Yep. Oh no, too many buttons.
Oh, that was really painful. That's what I mean. You just mix all your content together.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, your turn.
Well, I don't have Star Trek related cool stories. I have Danae life stories. So hopefully
we don't expect anything else.
Hopefully you're not like, oh, what cool Star Trek thing did you do, Danae? No. I am just raising a great kid. And she started a new school this year, and they have a different like curriculum. And when I went to the parent teacher conference, I was told that there's like this very special yellow folder that has a green piece of paper inside of it. And every single week she's going to pick certain words, and she gets to choose the words from a list of like 150. And they're the most common words that are used. And she picks 5 of them. And then that's part of like a spelling test that they do every single Friday. So every single morning while we have breakfast, I will pull out that paper, and then we'll just go through it, and she'll tell me how to spell, or she'll write some things down, things like that. So We've been going over it every single morning this week. And today is her actual first spelling test. It's happening today. It may have already happened.
So young.
So on the way out the door to school today in the drop-off line, I said, I hope you have a good day today, and that you have a good experience during your test. But I want you to remember that you know that you've studied, and I know that you've studied, and your best is exactly what we want. Just do whatever you can and have a good time, because tests don't always mean they're not the most important part. The most important part is what? And she looked at me, and I said, what happens if you take the test and you don't do well? And she goes, well, Mom, then I'll just try again next time. And I was like,
Oh, good girl.
I'm doing good.
You're teaching her the right stuff.
I'm a good
Tests
mom.
are like tests are this little snapshot snippet. They're not representative of like it's the only reason we have tests is like, how else do we quantify what you've learned? Well,
I know.
Do it as like a synthesis of the entire year. Like,
yeah.
Tests are bullshit.
Well, I think the word test is intimidating, but like,
Well, whatever we call it would then become intimidating. Because the word is fine. It's everything we associate with it. Yeah.
I think it depends on if the test has some sort of outcome that's really, really important to her. So I want the really important thing for her to be that she did it, that she took the test. That's it. That is the accomplishment. And then as she gets older, if she has goals and she needs to take a test and get a certain score, then I think it's dialed up a little bit more. Like, I think it's more intense, but I want to know what motivates her. Like, she's not going for 100%. She didn't say, Mom, I have to get 100% on this test. It was more like, I'm going to go do my best. And that's like, I think a better place to start than really focusing on the outcome because she's learning how to read and write. She doesn't need to be thinking like that she has to get the words perfect. She just has to go and experience disappointment and fear and facing fears and getting something wrong, even though you know it because you've done it the right way every day and just that one time on it. Like, she has to face that kind of shit. And that's hard stuff. But I'm glad that she, at least today, was like, I'll just try again next time. So we'll see how she performs. And I'm not talking about her numbers. I don't care what her test score is. I care how her person is after experiencing her first spelling test. So that's today. Yeah,
absolutely. If you can get through that, then that's a huge deal, because if it's a traumatic experience, then that just magnifies for every test you take going forward, whether it's like a driving test, exams, a job interview. All of it feels like a burden.
And she's kind of showing a little bit of personality traits that I want to be careful with. Like, they could just be part of her personality, but she does have the perfectionism kind of thing going on in a couple of other areas. And so I don't want to amplify that. I want that to be something that she can kind of naturally work through. Like, again, if it's her goal thing and she wants to get 100%, then I'm going to try to help her reach that goal. But we're just getting started. So hi, Josh. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody in the chat. I hope you guys are okay with talking about a little bit, because this is what's going on in my life. And I like sharing my life with you. But that was one thing.
Science should be pink. I agree. I want to see like bold pink uniform on the Enterprise.
I need to move my screen around here.
Pepto-Bismol pink.
No.
Yeah. I want that pink. Or
can it be something else, like salmon pink? Like Pepto is just so.
Yeah, like bright pink.
Speaking of driving tests, baby slab passed the written test for the driver's permit. Oh, baby slab.
Good job.
That is not what was meant. Not Pepto pink.
Rude.
Klingon blood pink. Let's talk about that.
Yes, that pink. Absolutely should. Or security.
The other story that I have from my personal life that I saved for the live show instead of doing it in the part of the podcast that you guys will hear later is about the cat. And my prompt to remember to tell you this is I wanted to tell you why there is a pile of dirt in my dining room.
I would love to know why there's a pile of dirt in your dining room.
Everybody who has a cat knows. Like, if you've ever been around a cat, then you know.
Yeah.
So the answer is, Ian, go on.
I'm guessing they dug something up and brought it in.
What? I'm a plant person. How do you like?
Oh, they knocked over a plant.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I was so used to the cat just killing everything that
Dude,
I
the cat
imagine
kills everything.
Yeah.
I did tell you about on this show. Have I told the horrifying story of finding a bird with its heart ripped out?
Yeah, I think that went into the outtakes last week.
I'm still reeling from that one.
Yeah. That's pretty graphic.
It's really, I know you wanted to have a really great story, but it really isn't much. Okay, well, there is part of it. So this particular plant that the cat knocked over is a special plant that I got at a specialty plant store because it looked really unique and interesting, kind of like the ones we saw in the show today. It's really like a thick stalk. It's definitely more of an arid desert plant. So it's really, really thick, feels fuzzy, has these really chunky leaves that just grow directly thick out of the stalk of the middle. It looks like something that's on an alien planet. And so I got this particular plant. And then I got this
hardy plant.
It's a small container. Like it's maybe like a 2-inch little container that it's based in. And it is meant to be in sunlight and live its happy days. I'm amazed it's still alive because I don't have a lot of sunlight in the house. Anyway, I've managed to keep it alive this whole time. However, I put it someplace that was too close to the cat's area of.
How dare you? How dare you? And the cat's area is the whole house.
Did the cat dig up the fish? That is going to happen. How many years until that actually happens?
Yeah, that fish is decomposed by now, surely.
Yeah, and it's also in liquid. Like,
and wasn't it still in the container?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I buried it in a plastic container filled with frozen water and then also some of the rocks from the aquarium.
I'm amazed that thing doesn't stink. I'm surprised you haven't been able to smell it.
I mean, I sealed it. It's not like it's busted open. It was in a little small,
it's still in water, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, someone in the future will open that and it will be hideous.
Yeah, some plants are absolutely deadly to cats. That's a real thing. I have to read the fine print of all plants or do like a quick search before bringing plants in.
They're suitable for plants, for cats.
So hi Polly, it's good to see you. It's under a tree. It's surrounded by violets. It hasn't been, to my knowledge, has not been touched. I
think you'd know.
Danae is going to end up killing Thunderstorm, which is the cat, because she was too absent-minded to look it up. Hopefully not. Oh my God. What an awkward conversation to continue to have with a neighbor.
So much cat food you'd have to return as well, and cat toys and goat's milk.
I hear something fall and clatter to the floor. I come around the corner. This plant is also in a really cute little container that we got. It looks like a little bunny rabbit. It's adorable. I should send a picture in Discord. I think what happened is the cat knocked it off onto the dog bed. It hit the dog bed and then just rolled off because it didn't break. Nothing broke. Like the plant didn't break, which is great because I was super worried about that. The container didn't break, but there was dirt everywhere, of course, even though it's not a very big container, and all these like little pebbles that I had put in it also everywhere. So I write the plant. I'm happy that it's alive. Take a deep breath. Okay, cool. We made it to the next like checkpoint here of priorities. I turn around and the cat is rolling in the soil on the ground, just
enjoying it,
just taking a bath in dirt. Yeah. And so that's the next part. Stuff. Was that the dirt is now not contained to one room. It's just everywhere because he went running off. Because then I was like, Thunderstorm, no. He's like, ha, ha, ha. He went running to the house and jumped up on something. And anyway, it was very exciting.
I mean, that was
my hour.
The cat owns the house.
Yes.
That's what you need to understand.
Yes. The cat owns
everything
the house.
In that house belongs to the cat.
I really should talk to my neighbor again, though.
Yeah, just on the food thing as well.
I'm so confused about what we're doing. And I like to have a plan. Because I'm almost out of cat food. So it's time. It's a good time to talk to her.
Good time to talk, yeah.
So you went on vacation a couple months ago, and I've been feeding the cat ever since. And are you wanting your cat back? Because if so, you should start feeding. But they closed their garage door now completely.
Well, they have confidence that the cat will be with you.
All day long, the cat is with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but life is good. Life is good. And Iris will say this to me. She'll say, Mom, aren't we just so lucky to have a cat that is healthy, that is playful, that is sweet, and that
Mhm.
tolerates our dogs. And I'm like, oh, I love that
Yeah.
you know the word tolerate in your 7.
Remember that positivity because eventually she will become negative like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Hold on to the positive thoughts.
Yeah. That is what happened.
Amazing.
Your problem now, neighbor.
Ha ha.
It is a very bizarre cat story. Iris, we don't have a cat. The neighbors have a cat.
That is not
Ah,
true.
nice come around, but can she spell tolerate? Someday. It's definitely not on the top 150 words. So,
Yeah, I think it's when you get to a bit later. Too much irony in there. I can't tolerate not being able to spell tolerate.
that's right. Mm-hmm. And those are my 2 big stories that I wanted to share. But you know what? Good on you for this the cricket badge. Let's
Thank
see it
you.
again. Let's see
I
it again.
thought you'd be more excited about this, to be honest, because it makes a very satisfying noise.
Okay, so obviously I've got some more music on my
Yeah,
little
she
setup
does.
here,
Yeah.
and I'm playing with it. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear that music, by the way? Let's test that. Make sure you can hear it.
Can't find it. I'll see if I can grab a link for it. They should be able to.
Can you hear this one? It's really soft.
Thanks, Nick. I love it. I love it.
You heard? Okay, good. Thank you guys. It is faint. I'm not sure how to bolster that yet. You need what as a text
Yeah,
alert?
it's
The
it's
chirp?
the OG TNG. Yeah.
Ah, you can barely hear it. Okay. Thank you
Let
guys.
me see if I can.
Let
I'm
me see
gonna
if I
do something for you, Sarah. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Oh wow, we're just gonna research. While he does
Yeah,
that,
straight
let's
up into
take a look at.
research.
I thought about trying. We're trying to think of some things we can do here. Just real briefly on the live show too, because we've kind of learned some things. That we should know. And that is that even though like the live show is happening like in the middle of the day on a Friday, and obviously not everybody can join us, we have quite a few people that watch the show later. And so we're like, oh my God, we have people. So thank you guys for doing that. So we're, yeah. Did you find what you're looking for, Ian? Because
I did. Sarah, you have to make sure you're going to startrek.co.uk. It's only shipping in the UK.
Oh, shit.
So make sure you're on .co.uk, not .com. Either that or they've sold out.
So, space news. Let's talk about a little bit of space news.
Oh, I have space news. When you mentioned the Perseid meteor shower a couple of weeks ago,
I did.
You did, but you were just like this weekend, and our episode comes out the Wednesday after.
I was talking to the live show.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going through for the outtakes, and I was like, "Oh, this has already happened. This is gone."
Yeah.
That's just for the live show.
That was just for the live show. Yeah, but thank you for no. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Remember how I was just talking about like we have a live show and only people can join, and then they usually watch quickly. Yeah, like that's for you guys. It's not for the podcast.
If you're watching this recording after the fact, be aware that any meteor shower updates may be expired.
Or really just any news in general. Okay, how are you feeling, Ian, about the quote unquote astronauts that are stranded?
I think it's a hilarious embarrassment. I'm glad they're okay. I am sorry for their families that instead of being gone for a week, they're now gone for possibly 18 months.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, they may not be able to come back until like early next year. It's crazy. And Boeing are just beyond screwed. Like, because NASA has such little faith in Boeing that they won't let them send an update that will allow for like a remote undocking in case that update means the ship is stuck and blocks one of the only ports on the ISS. So NASA are just like, we're tempted to jettison this thing so that we know we can get that port back. It's crazy.
This is nuts. I think
it's such an embarrassment.
I keep thinking about, obviously I want these, the astronauts are Butch Wilmore and Suni. Is it Suni?
And they'll be fine. Yeah, they'll be absolutely fine.
I don't think it's Sunny. I think it's Suni, but I might be wrong about the
Do not know.
pronunciation. However, I feel like they're putting on a really brave face, but this would be so terrifying. When I was little, I saw the movie Space Camp. Did you ever see that movie?
I haven't seen it, but I know of it.
You know about it?
Yeah.
Okay. That movie terrified me. It's one of the reasons I never want to go to space. I think
in case it accidentally happens.
Yeah, I think if you watched that as a child, one of two things happened. You either wanted to become like a space, like you were like an astronaut person, or you're like never. And I was firmly in the never category after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have a kind of space agency, but it's like we mainly do things with Europe, so it's the European Space Agency. So we kind of team up with them to do most things. We don't really have our own thing to speak of as much as I would like, sadly. Yeah. Well done, Boeing.
You know how like we have technical issues sometimes, and it's sort of just annoying because maybe the sound's off or something. Like their technical issues are life and death. I'm stranded in fucking space. I'm so
stranded in space.
I'm so scared.
It's a movie. It's the start of a movie.
Oh, Mark, you're not wrong about that. That was really unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad.
You're in the I'll go someday category. No, I would never.
Yeah, I would 100% go.
You would go to. I would never go to space.
How could you?
Never.
You couldn't. I don't know how you couldn't go to space.
Oh, easy. I stay on the ground. Similar to how I don't go in the ocean, I also would just not go into space. It's just a very simple thing.
Like I don't see much advantage to being in the ocean.
I would never ever go to space. I would be an unsafe person to take to space because I would be
panicking.
Yes.
Panic attacks.
Yeah, I think so. You're right. There are no sharks in space, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
right. But we don't know about tardigrades. What if they get huge?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, Cameron.
Man, I would love it.
Yeah, I have been seeing their progress of the strandedness like pop up in my feed, and something and then I don't know a lot about it. But yeah, their spacesuits are not compatible with other crafts. So that's part, I think, of the problem is if somebody else was to go and I don't know, you can't just shoot a rocket up there and
no,
it's really not like you can get an Uber back home.
It's so getting back home is is arguably harder than getting there. It's very, very tricky.
The fate of this is coming from I've been looking through a few articles. This one seems pretty recent. 3 hours ago, The Guardian said that the NASA is going to announce whether the stranded astronauts can return on Starliner, and we'll know as early as Saturday. So tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
you've also got to like feed them and house them. Like 2 extra people is a big drain on resources.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. But I think like they're people, you know. It's kind of everybody pitches in and solves the problem because there's two lives here. I'm glad that they have enough to make it, but I would be so freaked out. And I really hope they get to go back home.
I love this note from Cameron. I'm here and watching, but my DM Dungeon Master told me to roll a backup character for our session tomorrow, so I may be quiet in the chat. That's not something you ever want to hear from your DM.
Oh no.
Oh no, TPK coming your way.
Okay, let's talk about Dungeons and Dragons for a second. As a DM, I think I would actually consider telling my people to roll a backup character just to fuck with them. Would you?
Yeah, I think they should. When I've DM'd a thing, I've told everybody have one anyway, because those levels 1 to 3 are very tricky to scale.
So squishy
encounters because you're so squishy. You are so squishy. So I'm like, definitely have one in case I mess up because I'm not backing down.
See, that's the thing. I was DMing to tell story more than I was DMing to.
Well, the people that I was DMing for are like hardcore D&D people. So like, they're there for both, but they really want to know that the fight that they're in, they won it fair and square, and not because I fudged the numbers. Like they'll ask me what like the what do you call it? The difficulty, the challenge rating was. The
AC?
CR. The CR.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh man, I can't wait to play Dungeons and Dragons again.
Yeah.
I am. So behind the scenes, Ian and I have been talking about D&D again, like quite a lot. This is how it goes. God, I wish we had more time to do more things that we want to do. And one of them is firmly planted in D&D, because guess what, guys? Iris' school has a D&D club. Oh my God. It's like a dream. Perfect. I wish I could go back in time, but then the school didn't exist then. So I wish I could. I'm probably just going to become a teacher just to run a school's D&D campaign.
Yeah. Can't you just volunteer as a parent? You don't need to be a teacher. Just volunteer.
Yeah, I could volunteer.
Yeah.
I'm sure they want to volunteer as an
NPC.
Right.
I would hope so. Yeah. Yeah. We really want to do it. I downloaded all of the Star Trek adventures that were on offer from that humble bundle. So I have books and books and books of Star Trek themed D&D adventures now that we will do one day.
It's going to happen. Well, I don't see anything else like super interesting in the space news. There is actually a website called spacenews.com.
There is. Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk about some Star Trek instead?
Super comprehensive. Yeah, I think we should talk about some Star Trek. I'm going to move my camera because I don't. There you go. All right. I don't think. Did I put Captain's Pod music on here somewhere for you? I sure did.
We have something. No, because that's what screwed me up. I don't need this because I've already done it.
Don't mess with my fun.
I need 10 forward.
Okay, well, that's all you get. I would love to repeat it
last week. Yeah. Yes, that would be the idea for sure.
Oh my God, really? Amazing. Oh, slab. So many things for us to talk about. Do it for us. Bye, Josh. Bye. Have a good day. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready to start. Guys, what you need to know is that we're going to be recording our actual podcast, so we can't talk to you as much. We will pin your comments for later.
Oh, shit.
What do you do? Oh, it's on a loop.
It's on a loop. Yeah.
Oh, God. A terrible episode where you're just constantly stuck in buffer.
Constantly beaming the whole time.
Beaming the entire time.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
It is an episode. I'm sure it is. Everything is an episode.
Oh, we did it. I think Realm of Fear, pretty much.
Was that the one with the little worm people that were
nom,
people?
Nom, nom.
Yeah.
Nom. Yeah. You like they're people. Just grab them.
Yeah. There was a lot of in that episode. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Are we good? Should we do it?
We can try.
Dum 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 dum. Dum, dum.
Don't tempt me.
Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched. Most important question first, what would you like from the replicator? Plenty to choose from this week.
Did Boimler say that there was something about macaroni and cheese with like bread puffs at the very end?
With like a fancy topping on it, yeah. Or was it shrimp puffs? There was something fancy on top of his macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. I think it's got to be that. I think it's got to be. It has to be that.
I won't be replicating the gnocchi that he was so excited about. It's just absolute bullshit. What even? Like, it's bullshit. It's just little puffs of horribly textured nonsense.
Don't come at my gnocchi.
I will come at it. It tastes like nonsense. Lobster ravioli, on the other hand, is delicious. But I want some room temperature colored sand. That's what I'll be replicating.
Yes. I like how she specified the temperature of the sand. That was nice.
Because the computer always asks what temperature. It's amazing.
Since we're talking about, there was a lot of replicated food in this, and since it's part of like what we do here at the top, can we talk about the pudding though? Because when I was growing up, I went to a public school and we had the public cafeteria, and the pudding always had a film on top of it. Did yours as well?
Like a plastic film or a edible
No, just
film?
where the pudding had been sitting out long enough that it had
Yeah. Yeah.
they had solidified slightly on top, and so you
Yeah.
had to peel the pudding film off to get to like the juicy stuff,
Yes.
the
Correct.
moist stuff, I should say.
Or you just eat it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's immediately what I tasted with the tacos and pudding. I was expecting that to be Tendy being like, "You can have my tacos," and he was like, "Yeah, tacos," but instead it was pudding.
Yay.
I did not expect that.
The most disappointing pudding cup that I've ever seen as
It was
well.
so small.
Give us a weird synopsis. I say weird because this is a weird episode.
Is it a weird episode? What makes this episode weird?
Structurally, this is a weird episode.
Oh, this is a great episode. Let's get into it. On today's episode, we really get to go tit for tat, mom to daughter, on why they are both so alike that they hate each other.
Yeah.
I was triggered multiple times.
I kept looking over to you. I was like, is she okay? Has she left yet?
Because mother-daughter trauma is something that mothers and daughters often have. And so it was an interesting reminder. But we'll get to that later. Mm-hmm. Overlaid on this is the idea that the mother is actively attempting to pressure the daughter to quit her ship so she doesn't have to deal with her daughter. It's another part of it. They're all doing their duties. We get to see what the lower decks is actually all about. Scraping stuff and fixing stuff. And we get to see a little bit more of Tendy's personality as she obsesses over someone liking her and eventually watches them die.
I think I might be Tendy. I think of all of the people, I'm somewhere between Boimler and Tendy. I mean, I haven't watched anyone die, but in terms of like, you must like me and I must find out why you don't like me if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a scene at the very end where Tendy is essentially like breaking his arm. Yeah. So
tell me what you know.
Yeah, she's intense. And now, like, we know why, because we've watched other episodes. But at this point, if you're watching the season for the first time, you're not really quite sure why she is this intense. But I like seeing that part of her personality and that there's a familiarity there because I've seen her in this like warrior mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still like our introduction to Tendy. So it's interesting to watch it knowing where she ends up.
Yeah.
I think there's like what you mentioned about like the mother-daughter stuff is great in this episode. It's really, really good. And it's like really genuine. And it reminded me of why I got so frustrated with season 3 and 4. Because when I watched this in season 1, I'm like, this makes sense. I get it. When you see them having very similar arguments in season 3 and 4, that's when I was like, come on, move on. We've done this so much. So it was hard for me to rewatch this and just like, this isn't going to get any kind of resolution.
Ugh.
We're going to play this drumbeat so much. But I put that to one side because the way it's done in this episode, it's the first time that we're really seeing them clash head on and have a lot of screen time together. So I was interested like to hear if you enjoyed it or not, because you also know like where Mariner ends up and where she's going. And I was curious about whether with that knowledge, this episode would have been a bit tedious for you. But it sounds like you had a good time with it.
I did. Yeah, I thought it was a good this is a nice progression for a season because you're continuing to see character flaws. But I'm with you thinking about what we see in the future and the lack of progression or resolution. I think it gets annoying later, but I'm going to put that aside and just say for what it is in the storyline right now, it's simply a little more detail about this horrible captain who I now
just
firmly
the worst,
do
right?
not like. Oh, she's awful.
Just beyond believable. Like so terrible. We've gone back into corporate America. This is constructive dismissal. This is horrible. This is like, give your employee the worst job so that you don't have to deal with them. You don't have to fire with them. You bully them into quitting.
Yeah.
This is horrible.
It's like pretty bad.
Irredeemable.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really no watching this and kind of shifting back and forth into this is firmly reality. This is planted, embedded, and true to Star Trek, and I'm taking this seriously. And it is also a cartoon. There's this
Yeah.
pull
It's
and push
Mhm.
for that to make sense in my brain, but because I choose to kind of take it more seriously, I can't imagine being raised by somebody who would rather sabotage my entire life or my day or my work just to get me off of her ship.
just to not be around you.
Yeah.
It's
So
kind of
everything
wild.
she does
And
to self destruct later, it's like, yeah, I mean, look at your
yeah,
fucking mom.
you think she's kind of pushed her that way. That's a good way to put it. There was a great point made last week by the live chat that, and this is the only way I can believe it, is that we've seen terrible captains appear in Star Trek. We've just never had them be the ship that we're following.
Right.
So there are
Yes.
when you have hundreds and hundreds of captains out there, there will be a shitty one. It's weird when you're on that ship with them.
It is. Yes.
She
And you're
does not
used to,
deserve command.
yeah. I think like it asks us, I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but I'm just going to say it asks me specifically to like wrestle with what it means to not appreciate a captain. Because usually
Yeah.
I try because they sort of are in a Picard place in my imagination.
Yeah.
So, and
You
we've
want
had
them to be
this,
the hero.
we've had this chat with Shaw, for example,
Yeah.
who is super gritty and borderline disrespectful in a way, but also I got it. I got his character, and I kind of appreciated that he was more letter of the law, say it like it is, unapologetic. And so
protecting his crew. That was the bottom
Yeah.
line behind everything he was doing. Like, I'm not going to go into a phaser fight. Yeehaw. Like you
Yeah.
guys did in the good old days.
right, he was a very relatable character to me after a little
Yeah.
while. Of course, I kept wondering if he was actually this deeply nefarious person, but then shifting over to Freeman,
Yeah, Freeman.
I'm like,
Carol.
wow. Okay. The mom stuff is interesting, right? Like because I'm dealing with this too as a new mom. And my daughter who is, getting into that school age, it's this push and pull of wanting them to succeed and knowing that you did it a certain way. And so this is how you did it. So certainly that works. But then like when she's nitpicking everything that Mariner is doing, I am watching this going, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't.
Yes.
So like when Iris is going to do something and I purposefully give her the lead on something and I see her doing it like the most complicated way with with the dumbest tools because I am a more experienced human than she is and I'm going to think about things completely different. It's not dumb. It's her figuring out how she's going to get to her best way. But it is so hard to turn this part of my brain off that's like wanting to give a correction. However, correction can come across as criticism really, really easily to a little one. So quickly. Yeah, because it's not so she picks a rock that's going to take her longer. Like, what else do you have to do? Now, I mean, in the ship, they're saving the day. They really are on a time crunch. Like, But in my real life, if we have to sit here and play with this clay with the wrong tools for an extra 40 minutes, like, really what trouble is that causing in my life? It's more of an experiential thing, but it was a reminder in that moment when they were just let my kid be my kid. Don't be careful with what I decide to tell her she quote unquote needs to be.
Yeah, and I think it kind of shows how I think it's trying to reflect how parents don't always grow with their children. Like the corrections that Freeman is making make sense when you're trying to teach somebody how to do something better. But now it's just nagging and it's not letting Mariner live her own life. Like Mariner is in her 20s now. Maybe she's even 30. Like whatever choices she's making, just let her do it. Just let her do it her way. Like your role as a parent in that respect is kind of done. You're now dealing with, especially when they work for you, you're now dealing with a peer and somebody that is kind of established and is just going to do things the way they're going to do them. She's not kind of coaching or training her. It
No,
is just like straight up criticism,
exactly.
as if Mariner's still a child.
Yeah. And I've been around people like that. And I've been in situations where I have been taught by people who observe what you're doing and just all they want you to do is do it their way. And they're going to be critical. And so there is a bit of a triggering element to that part of the episode today. But I think it's important in this episode to establish that this is kind of their back and forth. So I wasn't too bothered by it because it was an interesting moment and it really, really grated my nerves to the point that I'm like, yeah, Mariner, I can see why you're doing all the shit you're doing.
Yeah.
And I support you.
Yeah. I can see why you don't want to get promoted
Yeah.
because there's a world where like Freeman is going to take credit for every good thing that Mariner does. So it's like a fuck you, like, well, I'm such a screw up because you didn't parent me properly, you didn't raise me properly, and if I start succeeding, then that's a good reflection on you, and I don't want that. And that self-sabotage is so like
It's
well
ingrained.
thought out and ingrained and in there, and it's so relatable and something you don't often see in Star Trek as well.
Mm-hmm. We do get to see a moment where Freeman recognizes Mariner's problem-solving skills, how quickly she assesses the situation once they arrive at the console, and then they're going to do the gas and stuff. And then you do get a brief little glimpse that Freeman's like, that was my idea, coming from a brief. And then Mariner admits that she kind of read it, and then jokes, of course, that it was just to make fun of her. But like, there is an element where the show is so smart to reference how they're still making these quick decisions that are saving the lives of their crew and get back into the sci-fi of it all that we love so much. And so the writers are both giving us like this glimpse into these character work, giving us a glimpse in these elements, and then just plugging us right back into the reality of the ship that we're on, and keeping it lighthearted enough that it's still not cartoon fantasy for me, which is fun.
Yeah. What I love about Mariner is that 9 times out of 10, she does her job. Like she does everything that is expected of her. She has the knowledge. She completes it all and has time to overlay this I don't give a fuck filter. And that's why it's so fun when we get to the end of the episode and she's like, oh, it's this carbon element. We need to flood the place with this gas and then pump it through the deflector dish. And it's like, oh, she knows what she's doing because she did read the mission report, even though she yawned all the way through it. Like, she's
still
the most
doing her job.
character.
She actually cares. It's that she puts it through so many filters because succeeding is really difficult for her. And this episode shows a bit of why that is. And that continues to be a character arc for her later, if I remember correctly from other episodes that we watched. We also get to see Boimler and Mariner kind of at odds because she is succeeding. She's falling upwards in this episode where he is trying so hard to be able to go up in the ranks, and her flippancy is a trigger for him and it's upsetting for him, and he expresses that. And I think this happens other times as well. And do we get to see angry saboteur Boimler again too? Or is this the only time that you can remember seeing that moment when he's like, oh, you like people who just fuck up all the time. Well, watch me go. Like, have we seen that part of him?
Yeah, he does dip back into that. I couldn't name the episode, but he does dip back in because he has a lot of revelations. Actually, we see it in season 3 where what does he call himself? He's like, he gives himself a new name, doesn't he? It's not Action
Somebody
Boimler.
in the chat says angry bratwurst spoiler is the best. Is that actually part of it? Or is that just a bold Boimler? Bold Boimler is what we're hearing. Yeah.
Thanks, you. Slab in the chat jumped to my rescue. He comes out with bold Boimler because going by the book isn't going to get him promoted. And I think it's when he does get promoted to lieutenant. And it's like, if I'm going to keep this and progress even further, then I need to be bold Boimler.
I feel like I saw some of that in an episode, or we talked about it because
that's season 3, which we did when it came out. Yeah.
Okay. My thought in this episode was, I recognize that face, of like, but it's so interesting that this episode decided not to lean into that too far. I thought we were going to see more of this saboteur Boimler.
Oh, for sure. More than just the coffee spill.
But it was just a coffee spill.
They kind of ran out of time for him right to the, and Ransom's going to be very protective of that member of his person. Yeah, I thought we would see a lot more of that. I felt a little bit like they didn't know what to do with Boimler too much, because the most interesting thing about this episode for me is that it firmly makes Mariner the main character. So from the off, I thought it was going to be Boimler because he's us and he's like the Star Trek nerd that's going to go through the ranks. But this firmly puts Mariner as the main character in the season and the protagonist that we're following. So
yeah, that's a good point.
That's really interesting. And I like that the show, I don't know if it deliberately misdirected us, but this episode 4 is like, yeah, we're following Mariner's story here.
It is a clever thing to do to not make it really obvious in the first few episodes that there's enough shared screen time that you're not entirely sure who is going to be quote unquote the lead. So you're right. This one makes it more obvious, or it's just her episode. And I think a lot of times in these series, you'll see different characters come to the forefront. I'm sure this one will be no different. Like we got to see Tendi kind of come up to the forefront in this one too. But yeah. And I love the lady characters in this. There's a lot of leading women that I'm really enjoying.
Oh, I love it so much. And Tendi, it is a treat to get some solid time with Tendi in this episode, as well, as she follows a classic like kind of TNG trope of the ascended being and the creature that's going through an ascension. We see this in Transfigurations, in which is like season 3 of TNG, I think. But it's a trope that pops up a lot. Either like you see the creature turn into a energy being of light, so it's, or the alien creatures have already got their like the Metrons and the Organians, I think, are already there. But it's fun to see this end of the journey, which is a creature that knows they're going to, or we think know that they're going to ascend, and follow that bit and what it means. So it's classic Lower Decks to get into this trope, but attack it from an angle that we haven't seen before. It's really fun.
Yeah. I remember the Ascension episode from Strange New Worlds, I believe. Because there was a character that was going to pass away, but then they kind of like became this other light being. Kind of that was without spoilers. No spoilers.
Oh, okay, sorry. Right. No spoilers for season 1 of Strange New Worlds.
That's right. That's come out years ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that the character O'Connor, maybe was his name.
O'Connor, yeah, which is weird because there's another O'Connor in Star Trek as well.
So I thought that this was one of the characters we see in later seasons that kind of has a rivalry with Rutherford.
Yes, yeah. I know the one you mean.
Here's the origin story of this sort of tumultuous start to all these friendships, and why maybe there's just some deep-seated dissension amongst the friends or something. But it turns out no. Nope. This guy's story arc is in this episode, and we're just here for the end of it. And oh my God, I did not see that coming. And it's hilarious. I loved it so much. It's such a morbid turn.
It really is.
And this is
perfect Lower Decks.
This is what I love about Lower Decks, is that they do things that live action would not do, cannot do.
Put that hilarious bump into it.
Like it would hit different. Like it's his death / ascension
it's a death
is so horrible. Like we're watching someone essentially burn alive with light and then have their mind taken over by this revelation of eternity and truth and koala god or whatever, which now I've finally seen the koala everyone's been telling me about, because this is the first time that I space koala. So yeah, it's kind of like Tendi's there going, okay, oh buddy. Just
the pacing on it is so great, because he's so just funny. Like, ow, this is burning, this is hurting. And you're like, oh, Ascension isn't this glorious thing. Like it comes in different forms. And just the shift from this is glorious to that millisecond where his human brain has to reconcile having all of the knowledge of the universe. Because once you're ascended, that's what you are. It's fine. But there's this bridge where you're still a human trying to comprehend all of this.
Yeah.
And it just like implodes his brain. And he's like,
Yeah.
why is this the answers? Why can I see everything? What is the koala? What does it want? It's so great. And Tendy's just like, why is this taking so long?
Yeah. It was bad.
It's so great.
It was bad. I'm everywhere and nowhere. Pure energy, the universe, koala, back of the koala. The secret of life is like, yeah.
Tendy's just like, okay, bye. Have fun being everywhere.
And it's like his boots, and she's just like, well, I guess this is the last bit that I have of this very strange relationship that she had, where she essentially stalks someone to force them to do the ascension. If you think about it, if Tendy had just let him be, he'd still be alive.
Yes. Well, he'd be. Oh no! Wait. Yeah. No, he would. Yeah. Because he survived being crushed by the rock. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no.
Well, if Tendy
right
had
for
left,
the wrong reasons.
if Tendy had left him alone, all that would have happened. He probably would have survived, and then he would have never had that moment between her to have whatever revelation he had that triggered the ascension, which happened after they kissed, right? So
yes, exactly.
They also had like a little heart to heart. I just want to be liked. I also just want to be liked. And if she hadn't forced all that to happen, like, she is potentially completely and solely responsible for his ascension death. So
completely. And it's just it's like kind of buried in there, but it's another really like kind of cute element that we all kind of, not cute, but it's this thing that a lot of us go through of people pleasing. And then like the most offensive thing she did was to continue to press him to find out why he doesn't like her, instead of just letting it be. Like, you're gonna fuck up, apologize, move on, not everyone's gonna like you. But that obsession, how self-destructive that can be as well. So I love how many messages that are really relatable Lower Decks manages to cram into 20 minutes as well.
Good luck being everything. Sorry I helped.
Yes, she has such great lines.
Sorry I helped. And that's the thing too, is like
so
in her
great.
mind, she's helping, but in someone else's mind, your help is a hindrance. And at some point you should stop. And, for me, maybe you go the next day with your spiritual metronome and then it's bashed in front of your eyes. That should be it right there. That should
I'll
be
leave it now. Yeah.
That should be it. I went with my peace offering, but no, she shows up taking vacation days armed with Reiki knowledge. Oh my God, that line about her doing Reiki. I will Reiki you.
Oh, I will Reiki. I'll align your chakras. I will Reiki you.
It's so funny. Like, that is.
Just throw all of the things out.
Oh my God. It was so crazy. But Tendy is the kind of person that she gets obsessive about it. And so you said you relate to that. So like you're watching this character get like a little obsessive and you got triggered there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. Wow, am I that annoying when I'm trying to please people? Because I tend to be a people pleaser to a fault. When then I will, like, to the point where I've noticed that I have resented people because I'm trying to please them, and then I'm like, they didn't ask for this. They didn't ask for me to please them. Why do I resent them for the fact that I'm trying to please them and bend over backwards
and
it's not appreciated?
Is it an appreciation or reciprocation or both?
Well, that's what. No, it's appreciation. Like, why aren't they appreciating this thing they didn't ask me to do? Being aware of it. No. That's the battle. That's the battle. But yes, that's why Lower Decks is so relatable.
That is very interesting. Robo took a back seat this episode.
Yeah, he's kind of just not there. Yeah, Robotford.
Boimler wasn't really too involved in this episode. Who else did we not see very much of that we usually do?
I think that's pretty much it. The reason I started the top of the episode by saying this is a weird one, because the first 15 minutes are paced very strangely. Like, it's quite a slow start. There's obviously this big focus on Mariner being irritating and then being sabotaged, Boimler being frustrated, and an entire half of the episode happens before we have the Captain Durango of the USS Masat deciding to fuck everything and out of pride moving the ship and ripping the plate off. and then all of the organic matter from this generational terraforming ship
The
being
terraforming emulsion. Yes.
emulsion being sucked into the tractor
The
beams,
molecular fluid from an inorganic material that
the
turns
moist
inorganic.
stuff,
Yeah.
flooding the ships and causing all of the chaos. And then it's like 1,000 miles an hour, ramp into high gear, ship is under attack, gotta solve the problem, everything goes wrong. In my head, when I got to that point, I was like, I wish we got here sooner, because separating it into all of like half an episode establishing relationship problems and then explosion and then jump to action, for me, dealing with the relationship stuff for me works a bit better when you intertwine it with the adventure. So I wanted that explosion to happen sooner, because then we kind of get tricked into this episode is about the terraforming goo and all of like the bad shit that can happen if it's misused, when actually the episode is about relationships and how you deal with your parents and whatnot. But splitting it into half didn't quite work for me.
So, and maybe this is to your point, what is the moist vessel?
The moist vessel is the generational ship and how it turns the Cerritos and the Maset into a organic being itself. So the generational ship is the moist vessel. But I also think moist vessel could be a euphemism for leaving the womb and letting your child go off and do their own thing as well.
Wow, that's
there's a lot of layers to this.
I just don't understand how they arrived at that title for this episode.
Because it's gross.
I feel like I kind of just missed something.
No, I think people just don't like the word moist.
Goop vessel, or I don't know.
I mean, it's a gloopy vessel because it has all of this like proto matter in it.
And it wasn't like it was all moist. There was rocks and there was coral, very dangerous coral, exploding coral.
Damn this beautiful coral. Such a great line.
Yeah. So I kept wondering. Watching the episode, I forgot about the title, and I don't think that the title really.
Yeah, it took me a while to get there, but I think it's meant to be deliberately triggering because a lot of people don't like the word moist. I think that is part of it. And then you have a vessel that they're interacting with. Maybe we'll find out that there is more behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's lots of different layers and motherhood and whatnot.
I see. Okay.
Can I tell you something funny that I had to stop from saying out loud when I saw it? So at the very beginning of the episode, Mariner's giving out the pads and they're having a briefing from Durango, and she does this huge yawn. And I looked to you because I was like, she cannot be bored already. And the fact that it's Mariner that's yawning, but I thought it was you. It's so perfect. Just,
that's funny.
Like, Danae's bored. Oh, wait, no, Mariner's bored.
Nope.
Wait, no, Danae is Mariner.
Did this episode make you actually yawn?
Not physically, no, but the first half of it got close.
I meant like physically, because sometimes you'll hear someone yawn and then you yourself also yawn.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're supposed to. Yeah, it did not make me yawn. No.
Okay.
But I just thought it was great that
That's
you
amazing.
are 100% Mariner. You are so Mariner. It's amazing.
Let's see. What else are we missing here? I'm going to go back to my notes.
What else did you love in this episode?
I like seeing all of the TNG style displays. The way that the ship is kind of laid out. There's like the screens and stuff. That was kind of nice. And it's also fun because even in the so the parts where Mariner is being promoted, for example, in the background the voice actors are like, "Good job, well earned." You know, just this this sort of banter that is really funny. I do wonder if they were in on it or they thought she was actually being promoted. And I think now that I've watched the entire thing that she was actually promoted.
She genuinely was.
Yeah. And I thought she was
the horrible motive behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that they were all kind of in on it a bit and were going to try to like pull a prank on her or something. But no, this was genuinely episode of a mother wanting to frame her daughter's dismissal. Yeah. So
pretty terrible.
But the background parts of it and even the animation with, I don't know how everything was going, was really fun to watch. It was really delightful. Visually, I think this was a really beautiful episode.
Yeah, I love the rapid fire TNG tropes of like the officers meeting, and we have like
Yes.
the debriefing, we have the poker game, we
Deciding
have
about
all
the
of the
chairs
things.
with the leather beige strip
Yes,
down the middle.
the strip down the middle because Picard's chair has a fabric strip and everyone else's doesn't. Yeah, it's amazing. Just I love this is what Lower Decks promised as well, like a more mundane look at what Starfleet is like, and the
Yeah.
decisions you have to make day to day when you're not being chased by Romulans.
Right. And I think like between the jazz music and being told that he's going to play the guitar and all these different things going on, I think that's what you're talking about with the pace shift for this one, where at the beginning it's got all of those elements of the deeper cuts of what boring life is like when you're a lieutenant, versus what we see. I do feel like it's an important thing for us to see though, because it did get a little bit like, ooh, you're forced to attend someone's birthday party and hear them do music, and you're auditing the audits, and and maybe most of us have experienced, and maybe you haven't in your life and you might someday, where you outpace your passion in your job, where you'll take a promotion or you'll take a job thinking that it's closer to what you want to do to kind of experience what it's like to be in leadership or have more responsibility. And then there's potentially and oftentimes a bit of like regret of just like leaving the simplicity. Like maybe you don't get paid as much, but man, it sure is nice to clock off at the end of the day and not have to be the one that's counting all of the receipts.
Well, there's this interesting logic where we promote people when they're really good at their job, but part of the promotion is promoting them into a different job. So it's like you should kind of maybe be promoting people that aren't good at the job that they're doing, but you've seen their skill set might work in a different position or higher up. And then when you're really good at something, it's like that doesn't necessarily mean promoting you means you're going to be good at the next thing.
The trick is, I think you have to experience promotion before you know that it isn't for you. And it takes some personal experience to know when your boss pulls you into the room to tell you that they've got a promotion lined out, to be able to navigate the waters of saying that's actually not what I'm passionate about. I really like what I'm doing right now.
Yes, exactly. And that's hard.
It is hard to do, but it's also sometimes hard to go backwards, because once you take a promotion or you take a job pay increase or something, and you realize you've outpaced your passion, going back is really difficult, because you're like, well, I want to go do what I was doing before, and I'll take the pay cut to do it.
Yeah.
I was chatting with a friend of mine recently about what it was like to have a job working at like fast food restaurant, and how it's hard and it's grueling, but at the end of the day, you're done and you don't take it home. Yes, maybe you smell like Taco Bell for the rest of the day, but you're not responsible for all of the success and failures of that company. And sometimes being the lower decker in this case is just more fun. And we see later that Mariner has had many opportunities to actually be in leadership, and she prefers to be in this sort of role, and often is holding herself back or self-sabotaging so that she doesn't have to advance in the ranks. And I think that this is like a really important glimpse for us to see in this episode, how boring it can be to be lieutenant, and then makes us want to stay in lower decks. Like we kind of don't want to go back up to the people who are making all the decisions. We want to stay with the fun.
So people don't want responsibility. It's not for everyone. There's this myth that you have to progress and you have to strive to be captain. That's the 1%. Not everybody wants that leadership role. Everyone's different.
And I think them taking the time to show us that part of advancing is a really, really important thing to do in the first few episodes of this series, since it is the more silly lower decker series. So
and Mariner's issue with being promoted, etc. I think it's kind of until season 2 that we dig into that a little bit more. But I always wanted to dig into more. Like, how many times have you been promoted? How did you get depromoted? I want to know more. way,
Yeah.
way, it's
Now we
super
see it.
interesting to me. I love that.
There's also a moment I don't
Mhm.
want to go without during the poker thing. There was this animation that they did with Handsome Ransom, where his lips
Mhm.
are poofed out. He's like while he's making his decision.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but when there's just something that's so humanly normal, just like a weird tick that we do, or making noises with our mouth, but then they animate it. It's a purposeful choice to say, "Hey, voice
Yeah.
actor, I want you to make these weird noises with your lips," and then
Yes.
they are animating it, and it just looked really funny. And that was the second time that the second thing I laughed at really hard on this one. It's so stupid.
Oh,
But
I
it's just
love that.
the animation of his stupid lips.
The other thing I figured you'd like is don't give me that sarcastic Vulcan salute.
Oh, I
Like,
loved that too.
that exploded when this episode came out. Everyone was just like posting like gifs of Mariner doing the backwards Vulcan salute.
Yeah.
It's so great. It's taking this iconic Star Trek, one of the most iconic pieces of Star Trek fandom, and then making it their own. It is so bold, and I love it so much. And Freeman's just so offended by it, and Mariner just owns it. I love it so much.
There's another fun reference in this one too that I actually got that I wouldn't have before, which is the Moriarty reference.
Yeah, you knew that. The evil computer program.
I actually knew that one when Boimler is still live on the mic and ends up saying some pretty nefarious shit. Gotta be bad, Boimler. What? Oh, that was Moriarty. Just
on holiday with Moriarty.
So I might not have gotten other references that were made, but I definitely got that one this time.
Love that so much. It's great. What else have we got? I think I've pretty much hit everything I wanted to talk about. I did love how beautiful the explosion of biomatter is throughout the Cerritos and the different biomes that it creates. And that was when that kicked off, like I'm all in for the last 15 minutes of the episode. It's such a fun adventure and so pretty as well.
Carol.
You did not just call me Carol.
No, I just got to that point in my notes where I was just like, Carol.
Oh, no, that's what Mariner says to Freeman. No, what
Carol.
Freeman says to Mariner.
Yeah. Did you did not just call me Carol? Oh, no, I get it. I get it.
There we go.
Yeah, I got it. I don't know if I have anything else for the...
Oh, sorry. One more thing that cracked me up that I can't believe they saved for the very end of the episode was the Admiral that comes in and says, "I'm sorry, I have to leave. We've detected something strange on the long-range sensors." And then Freeman says, "Sensors?" And I'm just like, wait. What do you mean, sensors? That's not how you say. Do you mean sensors? You don't say sensors. And it's not just a dumb joke because this is how Worf says sensors. This is how Picard says sensors in the first couple of seasons. Like Data, Geordi, this is such a season 1, season 2 thing about TNG, and Spock from TOS would say sensors as well. And I've always wondered why. And it wasn't really until this episode where I was like, oh, it is weird. It is a strange thing. It's not just like an American thing, because that can happen with language a lot. And I'm just like, oh, I guess that's just how Americans say it. But to like hang a lantern on that and be like, no, saying sensors is very weird and you should stop it. I love that. It's one of my favorite Lower Decks nods.
Yeah,
such a weird deep cut.
Yeah. I also liked, and I saw this pointed out in the chat earlier, it's also in my notes, that Mariner was suggesting what to do and solves a day, and then she's hitting the debrief. And then the captain says something about something about hitting it.
Yeah.
Hit it.
And they have the idea, and Freeman's like, hit it. And the computer's just like, hitting it.
Oh, that was clever.
Yeah, love that. Yeah. Love that. Okay, well, if that's everything, let's head over to engineering to do some sins. 2 to be out.
Is it red alarm? Red alarm?
Shit. Red alarm. Red alarm. OMG, guys, the story is that Leonard Nimoy was having a tough time hiding his native Boston accent, because obviously he's a Vulcan, so he can't sound like he's from Boston. And overpronounced it sensors, so that to make sure that he said it correctly. After TOS, they made it a running gag that all Vulcans would say it like that as well. That's amazing. I love it. That's so fun. Sensors. Red alarm. Love that. Okay. This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV shows are without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Go ahead, Ambassador.
I don't believe that Tendi would have been late to the Ascension. And I assume she's late because when she walks in, everyone was already seated and she had to kind of awkwardly make her way into this little Ascension circle situation.
Yeah, that bit felt, the whole thing felt a little bit contrived because Tendi isn't kind of, I don't know, maybe she's clumsy, but I didn't really see her as being carelessly clumsy.
No,
so she gets distracted by the
gong. Yeah, I just didn't believe that she was going to be like that. She was that person.
Yeah,
to show up late and to sort of like rudely chant along and all of this, and unless the Ascension was just constantly going on and it didn't start at a certain time. I don't know. I got the impression she was late and then she made a mess. I didn't believe that.
Yeah, it felt a little bit contrived to get to the bit of the episode we needed to get to. Yeah, I didn't think she'd be like, she asks the question and then hums before she gets an answer from anybody. So as an observer, you'd think she'd be a little bit more like in tune. Like, read the room, Tendi, read the room. I think if you don't want Mariner to yawn through.
Sorry, go ahead. Did you hear could you hear yourself back in there?
No.
Okay, sorry. I was just checking to see something. A mod was mentioned, so I didn't know if we needed to mod something, but go on.
Oh, yeah, we did have something pop up earlier.
Okay.
I think it's been dealt with.
Okay. Thank you, moderators. Appreciate you.
We love the chat. We sure do. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. So at the beginning of the episode, we've got Mariner yawning through a briefing. Just stop letting Mariner attend these briefings. Like, don't give her the pad handout duty. Like, if you're worried about her embarrassing you in front of a colleague, stop putting her in these meetings. Like, give it to Boimler. He'll love this shit. Give it to somebody else. But Mariner should never have been in that room to be yawning through it.
Yeah. There was another computer moment where the scene starts and chaos is erupting around the ship and the computer says unauthorized terraformation. I was like, well, is there authorized? Why is that something that a computer would say?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be
that
like unauthorized attack or
yeah.
Unauthorized
shit's going
terraformation is already in the computer somehow. I just didn't understand that. So
how many weird commands are in there? Like how many if you've got terraforming in there, how many other unauthorized things can the computer pull from? Yeah, I like that. I don't know that I would have thought of that one. As Mariner is going through all of the different jobs and she's like fixing something with the turbo lift, Shax should not be able to use that turbo lift. She could have died. She could have been killed. That not the do not use sign shouldn't have been a thing. That should be offline. It's weird. Could have killed her.
Yeah. This thing is brought up in the chat, but it's going to launch a larger thing that I forgot to ask you about, which is about the replicators. Is this the first time we've heard that replicators have different programs that have different food?
Yeah, this is the first time that we're hearing that the replicators are elitist and that there is a tiering system where the plebs don't get the good food that the officers do. And I guess that's an energy resource thing.
I mean,
but I kind of buy it.
I do too. It certainly is something that you see even in break rooms. Like certain break rooms will have certain things that others don't. Yeah. But I've never heard of that before, that there's a different replicating program. So this might be the first time that it's been mentioned. So I guess
it's the first time I've heard it canonically mentioned, but I completely buy it because they have different accommodation. There clearly is a pecking order. So I get that there might be different menus. And because whenever there's a promotion on board, like Picard would say, I hereby promote you to Lieutenant Commander with all the rights and privileges they're in. So I was like, what extra privileges are you like? I
Now
know
we
there's
know.
extra responsibilities, but
Better
what
bathrooms.
extra privileges are you getting?
Yeah, better bathrooms and apparently this better replicator program,
Yeah.
which was being sinned in the chat. But I think that maybe we agree that it's just a great idea.
Yeah, I think it just kind of,
But I would
makes
be
sense.
a lower decker, so I would sin it because I also would like to have special macaroni.
I want the macaroni and I want the special shrimp as well.
Mm-hmm,
I absolutely want all of that. I'm amazed that there isn't an automated way to decarbon the carbon filters, because they were just shooting it with phasers, and when they do the graffiti, they shoot the walls with phasers. I get like finding multiple functions for the energy beam that you can put in a pistol, but I'm just, there must be a way that the computer can do this. Like, can you put it through the phaser array? Like, put the carbon filters on a conveyor belt to the phaser array, and then just like internally fire the phasers at the carbon filter and then send it back. I just think there's a lot more that we would have automated at this point.
Yeah. Speaking of phasers, why not use them instead of rocks?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they couldn't get to a phaser. Yeah,
because they seem to just be about everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, they're not usually carried on your person. They're usually in a weapons locker or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just feels like they're everywhere. They're usually over on a panel. If you're under attack, they always turn to a panel, push a little thing, it pops out. They grab
there
the phaser.
We go, surprise phaser. Yeah, like a first aid kit. Where's your nearest phaser?
Yeah.
Your dog is being adorable in the background.
Is he? Oh, isn't he? Look at him. He's just so exhausted. His head is all up there. He's a happy boy.
He's such a happy boy. Just sleeping all day. I had a very simple one. The Cerritos survives this. Like, multiple hull breaches.
Oh,
like, you get a good external shot of all of the rocks poking out of the ship. And it's messed up. I'm amazed the Cerritos survives this.
I only have one more, and it's maybe the biggest one for me, which is that the Ascension guy dies, and then they solve the problem of the terraformation, and Mariner's celebrating, and she's like, yeah, all crew accounted for. But the Ascension guy was dead.
Not him.
That was not accurate. They would be missing a crewman. But apparently he just disappears and nobody is even sad about it.
He's definitely missing, without question.
Yeah.
Great point.
Great job not getting that correct, and that your crew you're missing somebody.
See if there's any in the chat that we can steal.
Oh, the chat is saying Sarah said she meant the crew of the Merced. Sci-Fi Brony says the same thing. Nick says the same thing. Oh, okay.
It's specifically the crew she's talking about.
All right, well.
Fine. This is why we have a live chat. Yeah.
Launched into space.
We can cut that out and look like geniuses.
No, you should
actually. No, we'll leave it in there because you said it. It wasn't me. Yeah, that's fine. I didn't.
Exactly. You have to maybe look bad. Otherwise, yeah.
Sci-Fi Brony brings up a point that I did wonder as well. Why is Mariner being given a gold uniform with her promotion? Is she changing divisions? Why? Question mark. And it's not impossible. It could happen. Maybe she did change divisions. Nick said maybe she's fitting into an available slot, but it's never mentioned. It's never explained. It's just, here's a yellow uniform. And I think it's just to look weird. This always messes me up. Like, there's an episode where Data is commander for a little while, and he's in a red uniform. And seeing Data in a red uniform is one of the most jarring things I've ever seen. It's so weird to see him in all red. It doesn't match like his android complexion. He's in yellow, and that's it. Seeing Geordi in red in season 1 messes me up as well. It looks super weird. Whenever Worf is in red, unless it's Deep Space Nine, it looks weird. Seeing Picard in the blue turquoise color, really freaking weird. Seeing Riker in yellow during the Transporter Twin episode, really freaking weird. I don't like it. Don't change colors. This is important, Danae. I'm not alone. Back me up, people. It's weird.
Slab says that Baby Slab refuses to watch the episode because she saw a screenshot of Data in red.
Thank you, Baby Slab. Thank you. It's so strange.
I mean, we like what we like.
No,
We can't help
we like
ourselves.
what we're
Okay,
used to.
apparently. We're immediately accustomed to whatever we're shown first, and anything after that is wrong.
100%. And I'm not going to try and reprogram my brain. But so Worf only works in red in Deep Space Nine because it's a little bit of red. Nerd! It's only red around the collar. It's not full body red. I'm done. That's it. Let's end the show. Next week, thanks for joining us, everyone. Next week, we will be doing season 1, episode 5 of Lower Decks, which is Cupid's Errant Arrow. We'll be doing that next week. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, send them over to captainspod@cinemasins.com. We didn't have time for any this week, but we will try to do one next week. You can also join our lovely community of Trekkie nerds, where you can feel free to join and be as mad about uniforms as you want, and without any fear of judgment, at discord.gg/cinemasins. And before we go, how would you like to rank this episode, Ambassador? I'm giving it 2 pips.
I'm going to give it 2.5 pips.
I think that's absolutely fair.
It slides into the 0.5 because that second half is just delightful, and watching somebody just get so eviscerated by an ascension with a koala in space, that is so fucking bonkers. It has to be sliding
Why is it
up
taking
towards
so long?
3.
Yeah. I think if we restructured the episode as I'd suggested, maybe I can see this getting a higher ranking. I would love to see an episode where the explosion stuff happens a bit earlier.
I might go 3 pips. I might 3 pip it.
I might give it 2.5.
Yeah,
because of the end ascension.
It's like a sliding. Yeah, it's like a sliding. We're sliding up.
Yeah. The space koala really does save
Let's go 3. We'll align with the chat.
Yeah, 2. I'm sticking at 2.5. 2.5. Amazing. Also, your prediction was that. What was your prediction?
Oh, it was all about vaginas. Totally.
Oh, yeah. My God, that's why I didn't mention it. Yeah, prediction was all about vaginas, and it ended up being all about vaginas. So until next week, I'm Captain Ian, and I have to go scrub some carbon off of some slightly harder carbon.
And it's, oh man, look at these amplitudes.
Live long and prosper.
He was so happy when he saw the amplitudes. I don't even know what that means, but he was so happy.
I keep a spreadsheet of the pips, and you guys drive me crazy with the changes.
Slab.
Do you actually keep a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you. I
wonder what our
appreciate
average is at this point. Like our average.
Yeah. I appreciate you so much.
We
That's
do.
amazing.
We appreciate you.
It's brilliant. Fittingly chaotic end to the episode.
Do you want to go through some of the saved sins and comments from the show?
Let's have a look.
Here's the first one.
Okay, you're doing it.
Well, I thought we both are, Ian.
One of us usually stays in the live chat, and one of us goes to the start. I'll stay in the live chat.
There's just so many comments today. We should go through them.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I think that they were the sin. I thought they were trying to get down to environmental control. So how/why are they in the transporter room? I think they had to go wherever they could get. I don't know that they were. I got the impression it was them stumbling along. That was my impression.
Yeah. Was it the transporter room they were in?
Well, they did transport. That's where they beamed people.
Yeah. But I think you can do it from multiple places. I don't know.
So then why is O'Brien needed?
Room. Don't you shut your mouth. Look, it's one of the greatest mysteries in Star Trek. Why do we need transporter rooms? And I think it's an energy saving thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more efficient. You can transport people to anywhere on the ship, but it's more efficient to do it in the transporter room. Back in TOS.
Okay, all right. Moving on to the next one.
No. This is really interesting. Back in TOS, site-to-site transports were a big deal because they're like trying to do something, and Kirk is just like, "Can you beam me directly from the bridge to this part of the ship?" And Scotty's like, "I can, but it's super risky. Like that's not what we're meant to do." And then TNG kind of throws that out the window. But originally, you had to do it in the transporter room. you can just transport willy-nilly, site to site.
There's never any willy-nilly with transporting.
There's more than you think.
Link asks if we've ever seen anyone ascend before.
We have.
I think yes. We not like that though.
No, not like that. There's an episode of Transfigurations where Beverly falls in love with somebody and they ascend. Yeah, there's that one.
Sarah, that I had the same thought. So funny.
The Orgonians have ascended. The Metrones have ascended.
Sin, ascending looks painful. Sin, being ascended looks lonely. Yeah, I mean, maybe not all of them, but certainly the koala version, that looked really painful.
I don't think Decker ascends at the end of the motion picture. I think he straight up dies.
Sin, mandatory birthday parties. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Side question, Ian, do you pronounce it mandatory, the correct way, or mandatory?
Mandatory.
I don't pronounce it.
Mandatory or mandatory?
Oh, wait.
With the emphasis on man or dat.
Mandatory is the other way of pronouncing it. Mandatory. Mandatory. Oh, Wesley kind of ascended. That's true. He did. In the Native American episode. That's true.
Thank you, Lloydie. Thank you. Maybe we should end on a clap, clap, clap. Good episode.
Hey, Ian. RCPD hitting hard today. Hope you're well. I'm with you, my friend. I'm sorry you're in pain. RCPD is the thing with the throat thing where you can't burp. So you get really painful hiccups. And the gas
Spee is a fellow RCPDer.
I love it. I don't love it. I hate it for you. But
wow,
respect, my friend.
Man,
I'm with you. It's genuinely painful. It sucks when you get it bad.
I know. I've watched it.
Whether it's an actual thing or not, pain happens.
So it kind of reminds me. So Aaron, who has been my creative partner for over 10 years now, I've watched him have to eat food, and his abnormality is that he's a super taster. So he has more taste buds than the average human, which means he tastes things independently. And there's some flavors that are really overwhelmingly horrible for him. And food is not enjoyable for him, but a lot of people think it's funny. And so I've had to be like on the side of where he kind of like, jokes around about it. He's a good sport about it, but every once in a while he'll eat something and then he's just like taken out because he has tasted something that's really, really bad. And it's kind of become a joke, but like, it's the same thing for you. So now I have new creative partner comes into my life and you have an abnormality too.
Yeah. It's an abnormality. It's the definition of an abnormality.
Yeah. You have something going on that most people don't have going on. I am not abnormal at all. So it's just, I'm feeling left out.
With that, folks, we're gonna leave the show because that was some nonsense. I did want to pull out this one from Wandering Winder. Public school means something different in the US and UK, right? Yeah, this confused me for a long time. Public school in America is like state school, like the one you send your kids to. In England, public school is private school. So public school would be a private school, a fancy school that you send your kids to, and then just regular school is school. Yeah.
So you call school.
Yeah, we call school. Yeah.
I see. That doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm with you, Slam. Yeah. Yes, I am surrounded by mutants. No, Link, I do not try to ask Aaron to drink coffee. I only do it just in a joking fashion, just to kind of like laugh. And
he's not going to enjoy it at this point.
England is so no, it would destroy him.
Well, he
is having the thing happen like as we get older that our taste buds sort of, like they fade a little bit. Yeah. And so he's able to try things in a different way, but no.
On the school thing, it's paid for by the public if you go to it. So it's publicly funded because as a member of the public, you're paying for it. Is how I've had to spin the logic in my head. We call it private and public school are interchangeable in England.
It's not the first or last time that I'm going to listen to you say something and be like, that makes no fucking sense, but okay. That's pants.
Yeah, that's pants.
Guys, we hope you have a really great weekend. Enjoy the rest of your day today and enjoy your weekend. We'll see you here on Friday for the next episode of Captain's Pod Live. And for those of you who have watched all the way through on YouTube or on Twitch, we really do appreciate your views. Please make sure to leave a comment.
Yeah, we do.
We would love to hear from you. We go back in and look at those on YouTube regularly and kind of see.
I have been catching up with the comments actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for
replies this week.
I don't know, asking us questions there. If you don't feel like sending in your questions to us or through the email, if you just want to leave a comment, like go ahead and do so. We really appreciate you guys. Please continue to tell us about others that might enjoy the show, because the fastest way to grow a podcast is by word of mouth. We know that because it's been researched.
Get those words in your mouth. Get them in your mouth. Get them in your mouth.
Still, the best place to rate a podcast continues to be Apple Podcast, and with a lot of podcasts, changing different ways, like all the different ways you can find it on Android, it's kind of hard to know where to go. But we also are asking for you to consider reviewing us on forums that are about Star Trek. So if you're on any public forums and there's people talking about fun shows to listen to, please invite somebody to try out Captain's Pod. We are hoping to see some fun things in the future for the show and for the community. You guys are awesome. We love coming to this because of you. Anything else that you could think of, Mr. Whittington? Captain?
No, okay. That's it. I think that's everything. Yeah.
Well, in that case, we'll see you guys next Friday for the next episode of Captain's Pod. Who knows what it will be on my magical thing that makes noises.
One thing I love is when Riker is undercover and he'll have his comm badge in his hand and he'll just aggressively tap it to do a
I'm just gonna push all the buttons.
Beam me up, Enterprise. He really wants one of the flicky communicators.
Open the door. Close the door. Open the door. Close the door.
It really looks like you're tapping things off screen. It's great.
I am tapping. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm responsible for this music.